Well, there have been several interesting, I think, insights coming out of today's meetings with respect to conflict and democracy in Africa. One of them, which is probably obvious to people in the region and those observing it, but it's fundamental nevertheless, is we're really facing a crisis of leadership on democracy issues in the region. We look around the region and look to which country can really stand out as moving forward on democracy effectively and stand as a regional leader in this regard. And currently, it's hard to find that country. A second issue or interesting insight that stands out is that regional institutions can sometimes be better than their member states in the sense of their values. It's an interesting question of whether a regional institution that's supposed to advance democracy can in fact do more for democracy than the individual member states might do if left to their own devices or their own values. An interesting example was noted, for example, of Nigeria back during the years of Abacha, actually taking some forward steps with respect to democracy and conflict resolution in Sierra Leone, despite the fact that it was a military dictatorship. A third insight that came out, or an interesting point of discussion, is the difference between SADC and ECOWAS in terms of progress on regional institutions. A little bit of competition among the discussants, but some interesting comparisons of whether or not ECOWAS has actually managed to move forward in some ways that SADC hasn't. A good way to think about the role that regional institutions can play in de-escalating conflict in Africa is, of course, the case of the Gambia, which was recent in people's mind, having taken place just over the last 11 months or so. And some interesting insights were discussed with respect to the fact that you had a coalition of actors coming together on the African side, together with some extra regional actors, some European governments, and even the US government in a positive way. And that there was really no opposition even among states that you think might be hesitant about pushing another member state on democracy issues. So there was the encouraging case of Gambia as showing that regional institutions, even at a time of democratic trouble in the region, can come together and make progress on a case. Now, it was noted, of course, that Gambia is a small country and more subject to external pressure than some larger countries would be. I think probably all viewers know there's a lot of pessimism right now in the international community about democracy and conflict issues. There's a sense that democracy is not doing very well in the world. I'm an American. I just came from Washington, D.C. for these meetings, and, we're having some pretty tough times in the United States with respect to democracy. And a general feeling that democracy is in question in a lot of places, that international norm for democracy is weakening, and that conflict is surging in a number of places, the Middle East, for example, but other parts of the world as well. And so having a meeting to take stock of where we are really with respect to a norm on democracy in the world, where are we with respect to learning about conflict reduction, actually couldn't be more timely.